Maria Romano.
Nailed it.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming out.
Yeah.
So Maria here, she is predominantly, the reason I'm bringing you on, you work with SEOs, search engine optimizations.
Correct.
And so we got connected. You actually just randomly came to me one day.
Yeah.
And it was through a connection through the podcast.
Yeah, in a roundabout way, yes. So
Yes.
one of my clients.
So let's tell everyone that's listening to the podcast
Yes.
what SEO is. Like, can you break it down a little bit better for us? Because that's the whole thing I want to talk about, because I'm big into marketing right now.
Yeah.
And
So I heard, which is why I was sent to you.
yes, and I'm just trying to learn more and more about it. But it's an interesting thing.
It's a big, scary, wide landscape, and it's very broad, so people get very overwhelmed. So for me, as someone who takes pride in being in that industry, my job is to make it digestible and simple, because, most people, they don't care how the machine works, they just want it to work. So
I love it.
if
That was a great way to put
For
it.
me, as I say it, because, there are a lot of weird connotations, because everyone's a marketer and an advertiser. And, for me personally, my kind of ethos is, if it's done well, you don't see it. So I say that I'm in marketing, but I'm a connector. So that's why I'm very motivated to have conversations with people of saying, okay, what is your value? How can I help you articulate that to the people that are looking for you? And so that is kind of where SEO comes into play. So search engine optimization. So most people who have a value, business, product, or service, obviously they get into the game because they see a need for it, right? And most people then, once they've worked so hard to build that business, then realize when they get into the game, oh, there's another part of the game that I didn't get into business to do, which is now I have to tell people about my business.
Yeah. People need to know my business exists.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so things have changed quite a bit in terms of behavior. So for me, and we have a similar, just kind of a reference, we are, of the school of like Gary Vaynerchuk and other marketing
Gurus.
Yes. Fountain of knowledge, information is super exciting, but it's like, as a marketer, I day trade in attention. So it's my job to then have my finger on the pulse of how the attention is correlating to your business. So for search engine optimization, just to make it simple, people are looking for you. And your business and what you have to offer. They're trying to look for you.
Yeah.
My job is to make you findable.
Yeah. Yeah, because so this is, for anyone that's listening, this is really important, because marketing as a whole is so massive.
Yes.
And a lot, like whenever I was first getting into business, and most people aren't, you're not going to learn this in school.
No.
They might barely touch on it, but this ain't something you learn in school. This is something you get out and you learn by doing it, and you have people that are skilled in different areas. And marketing is so massive that SEO is really important, because you can have, whenever I got into business, I thought marketing was an advertisement,
right?
A billboard, a commercial, whatever type of advertising you can think of in that aspect. But it's way more than just advertising.
It's broader, because advertising is definitely a facet of marketing. So marketing is the bigger landscape. So for me, and why a lot of folks who have, I guess, referred me to people or told me to, reach out on this social media platform, for instance. My job as a marketer, like I said, I day trade in attention. And so marketing is more about understanding the consumer behavior and gaining those insights. Advertising is then using those insights to directly message to connect with your consumer.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So for me,
it does.
If I'm participating in the conversation, then I can't observe the conversation organically.
Yeah.
So I can't really explain, because it's different. It's the same of like, if we add a third person to the podcast, the dynamics of this conversation change, right?
Definitely does.
Energy changes. So for me, it's being very observant about what's happening, because that's more interesting to me, to kind of connect dots and just ask a lot of questions. Well, have you noticed even though you've worked so hard to build this many followers, that people aren't engaging as much. Because I can see, as someone who's never seen your business, but I heard about it, and so I looked about the conversation. I saw that, you're posting a lot of content, which is awesome because content is a long game, content and brand, long game. That's how, we build sustainable businesses, but people aren't talking back to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they used to. Have you noticed that or have you not? And usually they have.
Right.
And then it opens up to other conversations.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's exactly. Well, okay, before we get any more into this, I also want to kind of just simplify it for anyone that might be listening. So basically, Maria works on a different aspect that most people aren't usually just as educated on or just known about. And so what she's trying to do is bring attention to areas that lack attention. Well, they get a lot of it. They get a lot of traffic, but they lack attention from the business owner side of it. Stuff that you don't even realize you need to be doing, but it is part of business today. Like what you got to really have. And so what she does is she makes it when you go on Google, because everybody uses Google nowadays.
It's the king of the playground. It's the king of the search engine.
But there's Bing, there's Yahoo, there's all these other search engines. And the problem is if you're not set up properly on all these search engines, when someone goes to search for your business, they're not going to find you. And when you walked in my business, and I'll be completely honest, the only reason I took the meeting with you that day
because of our connection.
Was because of our connection. I was like, if Steven says that I need to have a talk with Maria, I'm going to have a talk with her. I'm like, I'm going to at least hear it out. But not everyone will do that.
Sure.
But when you walked into my business that day, you told me, Ryan, I have an iPhone, and I searched your business on Apple Maps, and you didn't show up. And I was like, I didn't know that because I use an Android.
Exactly.
And I didn't even think about having to put my business on anything else. I have a website. Right. I know I have a Google My Domain. Or I have a Google page, whatever that I can edit. I don't even know what it's called.
Yeah, Google My Business.
Google My Business.
And it's essentially, I break that down into, I have a, storefront. And people can see me and they know where I am. I was like, great. So this is, as people are shifting digitally, this is digital real estate. We're not everywhere we should be. Yes,
digital real estate. That's a great way to put it. And so she's helping people. She's helping people that are looking for a business like yours, whatever business you have, to be able to be found by your non-existing customers.
Exactly.
So all these newcomers coming to town, family, friends, someone moving into town for business, or even, this might be a good example for anyone listening to the podcast. If you've ever gone somewhere that you've never been before, and you're like, where can I go to eat? You literally pull up your phone and you type in food near me, or if you want to be more specific, maybe sushi near me or steak near me. And then you look at the top 3 in that little box. You don't even hit the drop down. You look at the top 3 and you go find them. But imagine if you weren't optimized on any of these search engines where your name doesn't even pop up.
Exactly.
It matters. And it also matters, what Maria does is she makes sure that you're on every platform. Because... well, I'm going to let you explain it. How do you get them on every platform, and what are the importance?
Why is that important?
Why is it important, and what do you do to make it to where it's not just a slop? Like, how do you get it to, because making everything match?
Exactly.
Is important.
So there were 2 main points that you had hit on that I want to address first, and I can kind of go into how the machine works. So when we talked about when I walked in, and I, as an iPhone user, I default to Apple Maps, despite being with the company I work for. We're Google partners. So it's a different experience, but it's fun to kind of expand that mindset. So a lot of folks are kind of geared toward their bias. They know the Google My Business is the most important because that's the king of the search engine. Ultimately, things lead to that piece of information to kind of go off of. However, if people are searching and they have an iPhone and they're used to using a certain search engine, if they talk to Siri, and we're not also set up in the same way, Apple Maps is a different playground. They operate in the same way, but they're similar. the same way that Bing is similar. So what happens is Google may be kind of the leader right now, but Google is still a search engine. So it's asking across the internet for information. Google is saying, I have this information. Apple Maps, does this information match your information? So if Apple Maps says, no, I don't have anything, Google says, okay, let me go talk to Bing then. Bing, do you have something? I have some information, but it's not consistent with the information that you have. So Google, being the king of the search engine, wants you to make the decision off of Google. So Google, if they're not sure about you, they're going to push your business and your listing down. And they're going to put preference on the listing where they say, hey, Apple Maps, what about this one? Yep, matches your information. Bing. Yep, matches your information. Well, I know people are going to go here and it's consistent, so I'm going to push this one up because I know people will be happy and they'll continue to use me. So that's why it's important to be streamlined everywhere.
Yes. And let's talk about one more thing on it.
Sure.
That we talked about when you came in my office that day. Or example, maybe if there was a business you told me about, and we don't have to name names,
Sure.
but they try to do it all themselves.
Yes.
But when you do something for the first time yourself, you make mistakes.
Exactly.
And what this person did was they had two different, like they maybe had an Apple business and a Google My Business, and they had their names a little different. They had an extra A in there, or they had something different.
Yep.
And that's what caused their Google and Apple or Google and whatever website, whatever search engine it was, not to match. And it bumped them down a little bit.
Yep.
It's little things like that, but it's little things like that that really matter.
Little things are the big things.
Yeah.
And so, and that leads beautifully into that other point I was going to touch on. So we talked about when we're looking for food, we go to the top 3, and whoever has the best information or what I might be looking for, that's where I'm going to go. So 60% of people only utilize the top 3. So ideally, the 3-pack is where we want to be. Now,
how often do you click see more?
Not
if
often.
you pop up and you see the first 3 and they have good ratings, which it's easy to get 5 stars or 4 stars, and it's easy to get some reviews. It's not hard really to get at all. So you don't often click see more. If there's 3 good ones, you pick the first
Top
one.
3.
If it doesn't work out, you pick the second one.
Exactly.
If that doesn't work out, you pick the third one. If the third one don't work out, you're probably just like over it.
We'll go somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
And so it's understanding that and why, trying to convey that importance, because in terms of being in that 3-pack, it's a substantial amount of business that's being missed. 35% of clicks go to the number 1 spot. And then from there, it drops down to about 12.5. Then it goes to about 10. So from 3 to 1, that's over 200%.
Yeah.
So
well, it's
a substantial amount of business. And so even if someone were to click see more, number 4 is 5%, and then it diminishes from there to 10. So my client who we were talking about, who had that discrepancy in their address and business name, it was slightly different to the search engines. It means that they thought they were separate businesses, which is why they didn't get bumped up when they should be number 1 in their category. They were showing up number 5. So it was about 5% of business versus 35% of business. They were missing out, and number 2 and 3 in that category were no longer in business.
Yeah. And that's 30% is a lot of money. It is a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
I mean, it obviously depends on the size of your business.
Sure.
But still, if you lost out 30% of your net profits, that's a lot of money.
Especially
I don't
for
care
small
who you are.
businesses. Especially for small businesses.
Yes.
The corporations who kind of dominate, who have a ton of money to throw at teams and marketing and advertising, it doesn't matter anyway.
Yeah.
But for me, I kind of take pride in finding the small, local, family-based businesses, because I know if I can put you on the same playground based on what I'm hearing in the community, then if I bring you 1, 2, 3 more customers a month,
and that
you're going to take care of them.
Yeah. And that 30% that you're retaining now, or you're actually gaining off of not using it before, probably would pay for these services.
It pays for it. And then, advertising is a tax write-off. It's essential to keep your business open.
Yeah.
So you get that back. I would rather my customers get that money back to put back into the business, because the small businesses are keeping the community alive. People who are spending money at small businesses, I'm happy to spend $1, $2 more if I'm going to get taken care of and treated like a person. And then I also know that you're going to put that money back into the community versus some of the big corporations where it's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
It's not helping anything.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, they put zero, like the local Walmart does not put any money back into your
no.
community.
Yeah, not at all.
No.
No, it's
very
the
sad.
ones like, the local guys who are taking care and making sure customer service is paramount and excited to bring people to the town and tell the story. Those are the ones that are keeping the community a community.
Right. So with these, what you do, you help build these,
Sure.
but you have a team that works with you.
I do.
Right. So
Which
it's
is
not
the
like
best.
you're doing it all yourself.
Yes. Can I do it? Absolutely. I did it before because I had, as we mentioned, I had an event marketing business before. I've had small business and business ventures, so I understood that facet. And so for me, it gives me a unique perspective to be able to empathize with business owners of like, I know what it takes to run the business day to day. For me, it was 80 to 100 hours a week.
Yeah.
And then I would have to try to fight with the internet for another 10, 20, 30 hours a week to try to figure out how to get my business seen where it needed to be seen.
Absolutely.
And it just wasn't sustainable. That wasn't necessarily the interesting portion of me running my business.
Yeah.
My most exciting part of the business was like growing my leaders and being able to add value, helping clients. So like it wasn't worth my time to fight with the internet.
Yeah.
But it was a necessity. So
Yeah. As a business owner, I don't, like right now I do all my own advertising.
Sure.
Like all social media advertising, all my marketing, everything. So anybody that sees any type of billboard, any type of ad in the paper, any type of thing on social media, it's all me.
yeah,
But the problem is that's not sustainable.
it's not sustainable. It's not scalable.
No, it's very time consuming, and it's just not a feasible thing, especially for the next 30 years. I got energy now, and I'm motivated,
Yeah.
but it will wear you down, and so that's why I'm trying to learn more and more on it, and that's where people in businesses like you come in handy because you can take that load off of someone, and it's very affordable.
Yeah.
For the numbers we talked about, it was very affordable. But it's very, very important. It's something that everybody, it's not an option anymore. It's something that
Right.
as time goes on, you might be able, you're just slightly getting by it right now, but
Sure.
wait till another business comes in and then they start doing this and you're not doing it, and watch how all of a sudden they start taking all your business. If you don't have
Exactly.
competition in your area, sure, you might be able to get away for
you
it
may
now.
be the deal in town.
But wait till someone else comes along. And then when someone else comes along and they start doing it and then they start taking off, it's a lot harder to climb back up to that number one spot.
It is.
So it's easier just to stay in the number one spot than
Right.
it is to try to reclaim the number one spot.
Exactly. And that was a conversation I had with, he was a home-based business service provider and had somebody who was actively working his listings full time and was no longer, post pandemic. And I say post, even though it's still very much happening, but it's not as severe, obviously, the situation we're in. But he noticed, because he used to be the number one guy in town organically, how within a span of 3, 4, 5 months, without not having someone to actively work it, with these new guys coming in who have fresh content, who have everything set up, who have energy and are excited about doing the marketing stuff, he dropped out. He's like, you won't even find me. You'll spend several minutes
Yeah.
looking at
And nobody's
me.
going to do that.
And I used to be so busy and I used to do this and I noticed that, but I don't have time. And I'm now paying into, so there are different facets that people go. My company, we focus more on organic SEO, meaning we're trying to acquire the content and get that content visible. We keep it relevant, we keep it fresh, we keep it unique, we keep it consistent.
This
Versus
is-
like the paid stuff, which is instantaneous, but once the package is done, goes away, and there's nothing to continue to sustain it. So then you get caught in a funnel of, I got to keep paying
Yeah.
this to stay up here
Yeah.
when you should be here anyway, naturally, organically.
Yeah, I just had a thought about how important it is as well, because unless you have unless you know about the business, sure, I think the social media advertising marketing part of it is very important.
It's very important.
But if somebody doesn't know about your business, all that's a waste anyway, right? And so what you guys are doing are kind of like I don't know, subconsciously building marketing for businesses, for the people to find that business. So once you guys get a customer, that's where the social media marketing and advertising come in and an importance, because you want to keep and retain those customers. You want to keep bringing them in. But the search SEO is really important for getting the customers to the door.
Exactly.
And that's how you're going to get a bunch of new customers. And that's what because eventually you can only sell so many products
to the people who you already have.
Yeah, so you're going to need some new customers in the door.
Exactly. And so that's where, having conversations with some business owners where they understand, because marketing is so broad and pretty new and changes very quickly, small businesses were able to capitalize on a social media platform that was free to organically have conversations with their community and customers about, this is my business and please come see me. And that's still important, because that's where word of mouth exists now in 2022, about to be 2023. So that's where that word of mouth is happening. So if I happen to see that on a social media platform and I see a bunch of people talking about the business, I still have to find you. I still have to figure out how to call you. I still have to
find the hours.
I have to find out what what the directions are. I also have to see, maybe I heard something that was in the avenue of what I'm looking for, but maybe you don't offer that specifically. So I'm going to do a little more research on you before I go. So I say it all the time. My best friend in the world, who, we are very in line with a lot of things. So restaurant example, which is the easiest because it's the most prevalent. People do it without even thinking about it. If my best friend in the world were to say, this place has the best food, I promise you, you will not regret it. You need to go. And I look them up and the imagery is bad. It doesn't look appetizing. And then people are talking about, the experience wasn't great. And there's a lot of people saying that. And I'm not sure if you're open or not, because when I put you into my, map app, it was a little different. Confused buyers don't buy. It doesn't match what my friend said. As much as I love her, no.
Because you're looking at it and you're like say two people in the car together.
Yeah.
I got an Android, you got an iPhone. We're sitting in the car, we're trying to figure out where we're gonna go.
Yep.
And I'm looking at it and I'm like, and let's say I'm like, what time to close? And you're looking at it and I'm like, well, my phone says 8. And then the iPhone's like, well, this one says 6. And you're like, we don't know if they're open or not. Do we want to drive across town to find out they're closed? And then, like you said, all those other factors into it. And it's just like, I don't know, this one down below it, definitely both of them say they're open until 8. They both get good reviews. Maybe we'll just go there.
Looks clean in there. Let's just go.
Yeah, and let's talk about that. That was a really cool, that was actually what you came to me first about, was the virtual tours.
Yeah.
So this is really important too. You initially came to me about virtual tours, offering me just to set up on my Google, my business page, virtual tours for my businesses, for customers, first-time customers come and look at my business.
Yep.
That's what you came to me originally about.
Sure.
And then we went into the whole SEO thing because I'm just so passionate into marketing right now. So virtual tours.
Yeah.
Why are they important? Okay. How do they work?
Yep.
Give us some insight on that.
So
how do you do it?
Well,
or do you want to give us that secret?
How do we do it?
You don't want to break it down too
we
much.
hire Google photographers, and Google has a special camera and technology and servers. And so because they're the king of the playground, it adds to credibility is the short answer on the Google side.
Sure.
In terms of the consumer side, which is what
Like,
it's
what
important.
is it? Whenever we talk about virtual tour, what is a virtual tour?
Virtual tour. So we live in the most image-centric consumer society that's ever existed. 91% of customers, when they experience a new business or a brand for the first time, are going to 3 touch points, and all of them are visual, being video, imagery, interactive, what have you. It communicates that information faster.
So when you go to Google, sorry to cut you
go
off.
ahead.
So when you go to Google,
Yeah.
and you're playing on your phone, you're like, okay, I need to go. I'm looking for a furniture store. We're going shopping today. I want to buy a new couch.
Yep.
I go to whatever. I'm searching furniture near me.
Yep.
In a town I've never been in. Maybe your community doesn't have a furniture store. Maybe
Yep.
it sucks in your community. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you go to it and you're like, all right, here's one. It's at the top of the list.
Yep.
It's got 4 stars.
Yep.
Not very many reviews.
Yep.
But you're like, it's not far from me. We'd like to go check it out. But then you're looking at Google. I'm just imagining Google.
Sure.
There's no images. There's
Yep.
no images of the building. Mm-hmm. There's no videos in there. Mm-hmm. There's nothing for people to even see, like if they're trying to find your business. So most people want to see what the outside of your building looks like. Mm-hmm. But then they also want to see
On
what
the
we're
inside.
talking about right now.
Yeah. Do they have everything I need? Because a lot of times, people are shopping off hours. And with gas prices and this economic downturn, it's very precious to figure out, funding. I can't take a risk to drive an hour away
Yeah.
if they don't have what I need.
Yeah.
But I don't know how to get in contact with them because there's not a phone number.
Right.
Everyone's telling me to go there, but the building doesn't look that
Well, let's say
appealing.
nobody says even go there. Maybe you just find it on Google.
Yeah.
And you're trying to decide, do I go, like where I'm at right now?
Yeah.
I'm in a small rural community.
Yeah.
Do I have every large town is about 45 minutes from me.
Yep.
And so what direction do I go? If I'm let's just say, we're not talking about furniture stores anymore. I'm going to a business that's out in my community. Which direction do I go? Well, I want to go and I want to be able to see a virtual tour of this business.
Yeah.
I want to be able to click on images and I want to walk through this business.
Yeah.
Right? That's huge because you want to see, is this place nice?
Is it clean? Does it look comfortable? Do I feel comfortable?
Does it
even
look like
if
it's in a
not
safe
me?
neighborhood?
Exactly. If not even me, but if I have to send a loved one, if it's like a doctor's office even,
Yeah.
and I'm not familiar with the town, do they have a place for my kid to hang out if I need to be with a doctor because I have to take my kid? Or am I comfortable sending my mom there without
Right.
me personally going? Or are they going to get the help that they need?
Yeah.
And those are things that we can tell visually, and people process visual imagery 60,000 times faster. So it's the fastest way to communicate and articulate your value to someone who's looking for you.
Yeah.
And then it kind of earns the attention spans as well have diminished. It's a very instant gratification culture. So year 2000, 12 seconds for attention span.
Yeah.
By 2010, it had
We can think
diminished to
TikTok
8.
and Facebook Reels and Instagram Reels
2022,
for
it's
that.
5 seconds. So you have 5 seconds.
Yeah, lowering. Yeah, it's lowering.
You have 5 seconds to visually, preferably, because it's fastest, to tell a consumer if they're looking for you that I have what you need.
Yeah. Yeah, and as a gym owner myself, it's super important because gyms are very uncomfortable places for just
yeah.
about anybody. But most people know, hey, I need to get in shape. I want to feel better. I want to look better.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's just in everybody to want to, at some point in their life, do a little bit better for themselves physically. And so when you're looking at going to the gym, most communities have multiple gyms, and not every gym fits every person.
Exactly.
And so you want to, before you go in and you walk in to this intimidating place that you're not comfortable with.
It's like it's a sensitive time, right? Because
Yeah.
I know I need some help.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like intimidated. I feel bad because I haven't been taking care of myself.
Mm-hmm.
It's already uncomfortable. I have to talk to somebody. I'm like,
Yep.
hi, can you help me? Because I'm struggling here.
Mm-hmm. And the office is right when you walk in the door. So a lot of times you don't get a tour of the building before you talk to the owner or the manager or whoever is trying to get you to set up a gym membership. So you really want to see, does this have the equipment that I want?
Yeah.
Is this the treadmills does this have a Stairmaster? And does this have what I want in it before I sign up, because I don't want to
need.
sign up and then all of a sudden there's nothing here for me. And so that's where a virtual tour.
Yeah.
I could walk through the whole building. And I can zoom around because it's a 360 view. This virtual tour
so
is 360.
I can go wherever I need to go. So if I know that my cardio, because I have, some respiratory issues and I got to get my lungs back up and things like that, I need to know how many, because I'm also, like we mentioned, I'm a former athlete, a shy person too. So if I'm, going to be fighting for my life, trying to do some cardio, I want to make sure that there's enough space to where I'm not disrupting the person next to me.
Yeah.
Who's like rocking and rolling and goes every time at the same day and is just like training for like a 5K or half marathon. So I don't want to embarrass myself in a very sensitive time. So do they have enough space for me? Do they have other machines that, as I continue to grow, that I need? So I can choose where I'm interested in, because the weights may not be for me. So I don't care about the weight side, but I need to see what the cardio side looks like.
Yeah. Or
I care about, having classes and things like that. Do they have room for that?
Do they have a studio?
They offer?
Yeah. So there's so many. You get to look through the building
and you get
before
to
you
choose
actually
your
come
entry
in.
point, and then you can walk around the rest of it, and that's the beauty of it. Because a lot of times, and that was a point I kind of made of, especially in towns, especially if they're smaller, older towns, the exterior a lot of times doesn't do the interior justice. It's a completely different experience.
Yeah.
So something that looks very like nondescript on the outside could be the most beautiful showroom you've ever seen, which you wouldn't know unless you had something to indicate that.
Yeah. Exactly. That's really important. I never even really thought about that. But yeah, most small businesses are not building brand new buildings for their business and designing it to make it look like what they want it to look like. It's very rare you get to see that. Most are recycling buildings from other people. My business, where my gym is at, it was originally built for a restaurant, I believe, and then it was a moose lodge, and then it was a therapy company, and then it was a gym, and it's been through a bunch of other businesses. And most people can probably think of drive through their community and look at the different buildings and be like, that was that at one time, that was that at one time, and then change over time. And it's not like Walmart or Target where you look at it, hey, that's a Target.
It's a very consistent brand image. They make it a point to, because, in my event business, I had partnerships with these retailers. And so I understood the branding portion of it as well of, I was out in training one of my new reps out in the city, and there was a grocery store chain where I'm like, I know they have restrooms, I know it's clean, and I know where it is in the building because they're all pretty much the same for the reason of keeping the brand consistent. So I'm like, I know where it is, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
So I know I can go in there.
I try to model my stuff after that too. I try to watch what these bigger businesses are doing because it makes sense. Obviously, find ones that are successful. And it's
copy, cheat, steal all day and night.
Did we talk about that? That book?
Steal Like an Artist?
Steal Like an Artist.
Yeah.
Check this out. I got it.
Did you?
Yes.
That's exciting.
Yes. I haven't read it yet.
Yeah.
But it was Steven that mentioned it to me. Does this look like the right copy?
It is. Yes.
It's not a big book.
It's not.
It looks almost like a children's book.
Yeah.
I like hardcovers. Like that's like, because whenever I get a book that I'm thinking I'm going to really like, try to get a hardcover because I want it to last.
Yeah.
Maybe I even pass it on one day.
Right.
But the book is like, it's not, it kind of looks like a children's book, but it's pretty basic, and I haven't even read it yet.
Yeah.
But I kind of get the concept of it.
Yeah.
When they say art it's been the same for a very long time. And Steven's the one that talked about it on the podcast. He's like, Ryan, you need to read it.
Yeah.
And me and you talked about it. And it's
and I talked about it with Steven separately because I was like, I've never known anyone out here. I'm originally from this area out here who was familiar with that book. So I was like, that's so wild that you also know about this book.
Yeah.
So.
And that's why I love these podcasts. And that's why I make a lot of content, because there's not a lot of people out in our area that are entrepreneurs, that are starting their own business, that are doing things that are fearful or hard or just different. And I want people to know that they can do it. And I want people to see that, like, hey, I was this broke kid that had nothing, and I didn't have parents that taught me. I didn't have a hookup, like a mentor or someone to push me. I did it all on my own. You know, I found a way to do it, and I did it by reading books, and like I did it by just kind of being fearless and actually jumping on the things. Like, you got to actually go out and try it. And so that's where like this podcast came in handy.
Yeah,
like
which is great.
I was like, man, that'd be a great way for me to reach out to business owners and to marketers and all these people that I need to be able to learn and teach myself new tactics for growing a business. That's what, if I can do it, anybody else can do it.
Exactly. And that's actually how I got a lot of my education as I pivoted into the marketing field. I was listening to podcasts pretty early on when they were newer because, you know, I had commutes and things like that. And I was like, I want to be actively learning things because I always say about myself, I'm just like a passionately curious person. So I'm genuinely interested and I'm a process nerd. So like, if you know something and you have an area of expertise that I know nothing about, I am going to ask you so many questions because I'm so excited to hear about it because I don't know. And that was a way, it was like the access to information in the internet age was like so exciting for me. I was really blessed with some really great educators, and I hold them in different camps. I had teachers who just, you know, wrote my notes and gave me the tests and went through the syllabus and recycled that. And I had educators who taught me how to ask questions and be curious and critically think. So it kind of
Where did you meet them at? Any of them in particular that really made a difference in your life?
Yes. So I was in the gifted student program. I don't know if the kids are doing that these days anymore. Meaning I was disruptive because I asked so many questions when I was young. My parents immigrated from the Philippines. And so I also had like a multicultural education system. So I was already privy to the fact that the way the education system was framed in one place was very different from the other.
So how old were you when you moved?
I was born here, but then we used to go back and forth quite a bit when I was young.
Gotcha.
So I would do a year of school here, and then I would do a year of school
there.
there.
And I'm sure the way your parents were raised was very significantly different. And so when you're getting taught things at home versus the way you're getting taught things in school can probably be a little contradicting.
Definitely with just different experiences, and that happens just generationally as well, which is a different thing. But the whole point of why my parents decided to really kind of plant seeds here was because of just the opportunity. So back where they're from, you know, my dad was a semi-pro basketball player about to go into the league. So he gave up his basketball career to come to the States to start over. And my mom she had been widowed, but she had married someone here from this area, which is why we ended up in Missouri, and was widowed pretty young and had gone back home and met my dad and brought him here. Oh, wow. But they understood that in the Philippines, unfortunately, it's very rare that you can kind of elevate yourself from your situation. It's not a place where no matter where you start, you can change your circumstances. You're kind of stuck where you are. And they had the foresight to say, well, we may have to give up some of the comforts that we have here. But if we want our kids to like have more opportunity and, you know, have bigger, better lives, let's give them a chance in a place where it doesn't matter if we start over very humbly, which we did. They have the opportunity to make something better for themselves. So very grateful for my parents for that experience as well. But no, I was really blessed with some great teachers. But having those experiences, it was, as I was young, I was like, well, I was told this way, and now I'm being told it's this way. So please explain to me. And so not being afraid to really kind of ask those questions, because I was like, I just want to understand. Because even when I'm young, I couldn't name it, but I'm like, you want to fit in with everybody. And so being shifted from different experiences, it's like, okay, well, now I'm the odd one out because everyone is operating in this way because they know what the rules of the playground are, but the way we played the game previously is very different. So I got to figure out what the rules of the game are so I can play too. So I'm not like the weirdo on the side.
Well, whenever you are the one that plays devil's advocate or asks the questions or looks at things a different way, which is not a bad thing at all.
Right.
A lot of people
it
that
served
are,
me a lot as I got older.
yes, the older you get, the more you realize it's important. But when you're younger,
Oh, so shy.
it will make you shy too, because people, like, as a kid, kids will make fun of you.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's just how it works.
Yeah.
And it sucks when you're younger, but the older you get, the more you're like, oh, that's really important.
Right. Because for me, that made me curious, because I was like, oh, I'm not sure about that. Can you explain that to me?
Mm-hmm.
And people showing like a genuine interest in something that maybe you have interest in that, maybe you weren't exposed to ever.
Yeah.
Is like a really exciting thing for me now. But when I was young, it was like, oh, wow, I don't even know why do we do this? I don't understand. This is not something
You were just doing things because you were with that crowd of people. Yeah. And that's why as you get older and as you start to get curious, you need to let yourself be pulled to those directions, because if not, you'll get stuck with these other people that you'll probably end up very unhappy, because you'll be doing things you don't want to do, and you're just like, it'll get miserable. And there's going to be a time where you probably have to separate yourself from the other people, not because those people are bad people.
Sure.
But you gotta find your niche group of people in your life that help fuel you and your happiness.
Yep.
And so that's where, it takes a little bit of getting out of your comfort zone. And that's where this podcast for me is beautiful. I get to reach out to like-minded people and be able to get to talk to them about some things that I'm passionate about and they're passionate about. And anyone that's ever been on my podcast is a passionate person.
Well, yeah. And
for sure.
Being someone who is like excited about growth or business or anything like that, you have to kind of operate outside of the norm, because what I learned also from having different like educational experiences growing up was that, we're being kind of structured and taught to behave in a certain way. And having kind of that outside experience where I wasn't naturally like fitting into the structure and the mold, and I was questioning things, already kind of separated me, which makes more sense of why, I had my own business. I'm excited to pivot. I'm excited to learn new things and question where other folks are like, no, I'm good here, because everyone in my family is doing it. All of my friends, they do that. That's all I want. And I learned pretty early on. I was like, well, all of those things that you want me to do are not things that I'm really interested in.
Yeah.
I'm interested in this weird thing over here, so I'm just going to go do that thing.
Yeah. I think that's how humans really are. And maybe not everyone. I do understand that some people are happy and content doing one thing. But I find it really hard to believe, because if you've ever, it doesn't matter who it is. I mean, I've seen it a million times. If someone's put in a work position where, because when people are all growing up, I'm going to take it way back. All growing up through school, you're going to 7 different classes every single day. And then every year, it's a whole nother thing. And you're learning every single day. So you're learning math, science, art, all these different classes. So you're learning all these different things every day. You're learning every single year. You're doing it for 12 years of school. Then you're getting out of school and you're going to college. You're learning all these different things. And this whole time, they're like, get a job, do this one thing. And people think that you have to do one thing.
Yeah.
So their whole life, they're doing a bunch of different things. They're learning new stuff all the time. And then they get one job. And they do the same thing for the rest of their life. And they get miserable.
Yeah.
That's when life sucks. They're like, man, high school was so great. School was so great. All this time was so great in my life.
They had variety, and it was a little. You were
they were
kind of
learning.
exposed to
Things
community.
were changing. They were growing. There was just so much. There was fulfillment to it, right? When you do it, and that's the thing is when you see someone get into a position that they thought they would want to do for the rest of their life, and it's just stagnant. It's not fulfilling, and that's why they're not happy.
And that's what's been interesting too, because when I graduated college, and pivoted into, and it took me a while to go full time into the marketing field. I was having to work full time and then also commute to school because, I wasn't blessed with, a bunch of friends and family who had money who were going to pay for my education. I had to do it myself.
Yeah.
So,
good for you though, right?
Great. It was awesome. But I was experiencing, and it wasn't like a really cool job in school. It paid for my gas and my books and stuff. But I could see that what I was being taught, which was that framework of if you get this piece of paper and you work in this field and you get a good job, you're good for life, was not what was being reflected in the actual workplace. So then I was then caught with another situation of like, well, I'm being taught this, but that's not going to be, because what you're teaching me right now is already outdated.
Yeah. Right.
So I'm not equipped to go into the work field that I'm already kind of in.
Yeah.
So I was actually, so my journey into marketing was, I was a creative, I was a writer, which is why the Steal Like the Artist thing makes sense. And,
Okay. Cool.
and he was actually, this author, Austin Kleon, was on Tumblr and used that as his like digital, just show, he's a show your work person. So he journals all day. He shares what he's reading, what he's watching, cool stuff. It was a cool way for me to get information, and then go down rabbit holes for myself. And so now he has a book, which is really cool, and applies to different, avenues in life and business and what have you. So I was kind of toying with, I'm a creative person, but I actually was kind of on the law school track.
Oh, that's right. I remember you saying that.
Yeah.
You could be a lawyer.
I was, yeah.
Holy cow.
My senior year in high school, I won the Missouri Bar Association Law Day essay contest for the state of Missouri.
Dang.
The essay was on the jury being the hallmark of democracy. So I was very, young, idealistic. I'm going to change the world, and I'm going to change policy and things like that. And then you get into the world and you're like, oh, it's a little more complicated than just doing this. And so for me, it was always, I was very into film and, reading and a lot of different art because it exposed me to more things than I had in my very small town in Missouri. I was like, oh, there are other different worlds out there. There are people who are interested in the weird things that I'm interested in. So I don't have to, because I couldn't have those conversations with my friends locally because they weren't interested in that.
Yeah.
But my friends on the internet were interested in the same things as me. And we were nerdy about the same thing. So I can go over there and we can feed each other.
Yeah.
So that kind of segued into, I was struggling with like, I'm a creative person. I like to write here, but I also am very kind of like business things and what is the best way to marry it. I was very burnt out when I graduated from school from working full time and 18 credit hours to
That's a lot.
Finish. Yeah.
That's a lot.
When you're young.
18 credit hours in school is a lot on its own.
Because I transferred. I had a basketball scholarship. I got very injured and went from a liberal arts school to St. Louis University because I knew that I would have a better shot of getting into law school graduating from St. Louis University versus a very small liberal arts school in Iowa.
Yeah.
So I had to make up courses because these institutions, I said, I know you took this accounting class from an actual accountant in the world, but it doesn't transfer over because it's not credible and it doesn't matter.
Ridiculous.
I was like, but this was a working accountant in the field.
Yeah.
Who had a business and was just teaching us on the side.
Yeah.
How to do it. I was like, okay, so I have to retake that course. Great.
Yeah.
That was kind of my segue into these systems I'm being taught I see the merit in it, but it's not really going to set me up. And so before I went another full-time into a very intensive, other degree, I actually had family friends who were pretty young lawyers that were getting out of the field. And so I had a conversation with them. I was like, I'm pretty tired. I'm so I want to take a break from school, but I also don't want to kill momentum. But I'm worried that I'm so burnt out, and then I get in there and I don't like it, and now I'm stuck because now I have all this debt.
Yeah, that's the trap, right?
That's a trap,
how they
right.
get you.
So I'm like, what would you recommend, and why are you leaving? And they very elegantly, without saying why, said, if you have other interests, now would be the time to pursue it because law school will always be there if you feel like you need to go back.
That's true too.
And I was like, that's cool.
Yeah.
Let me do that then. And I had a lot of friends who I had been very I'm going to law school, but I want to save some money. I want to get set up and do it on my own and all of that stuff, who had no desire to go into law, but because there were no jobs when I graduated during a recession, I had classmates of mine who had no interest in law who were all of a sudden going to law school because they couldn't get jobs with their degrees.
Wow.
And I was like, okay. That's one way to do it.
And they're just doing it for the money.
They're doing it so they don't have to pay the loans because they're in school.
Yeah.
And
Really? So they're just,
Let me get another piece of paper because I don't have to pay for it if I'm in school.
Yep.
And then maybe I'll do this then, which
Yeah.
was very interesting. So I have several classmates of mine who have multiple degrees that now they're not using.
Yeah.
And having that conversation was helpful. And I knew, as I mentioned earlier, I do a lot of talking for my job now, but I'm naturally very introverted and I'm shy.
You would never guess it. You would never
I'm great
guess it.
one-on-one. If I know you and I'm comfortable, happy to talk to you, can get really excited. It was just that initial step. I was very much like, if I just work hard and do a great job, people will see my value. And it's very idealistic. It's not the way the world works. So I realized that I need to be able to, again, articulate my value, kind of advocate for myself, show people that I'm interested in things, put myself out there. So I thought I need to learn sales, I need to learn marketing because I'm interested in it. I don't have the skill set, but I'm very teachable and I'll work hard.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to learn it.
Sure. Which is important. I think hard work ethic, that's why I got hard work beats talent.
Yep.
Because you ain't got to be talented. You just got to be willing to work harder than anybody
and be
else.
excited about it.
Yes. It's easier to work hard whenever you are excited about it.
Exactly.
Like when it's something that interests you, you can work 80 hours on it.
Sure.
And it's like, okay, I'm still enjoying this.
Yeah.
But if you hate it the whole entire time, 10 hours in, you're like,
Right.
get me out of here.
Unless you have like a goal attached to it. Like for
Sure.
me, I hated the fact that I'm a very shy person and I don't want to talk to anybody. Like I would get so flustered because I would have like my headphones in, I'd have like a hat on and like a hoodie and like sunglasses on because very shy. Please don't talk to me. And people would come up and talk to me and I'm like, threw me off my whole day. I was like, oh, so anxious about it.
Really?
And so immediately I go, well, if I need to learn how to do this, if someone will pay me to learn the things that I need to do, that's better than me having to get another piece of paper and learn outdated information because it moves too fast.
Yeah.
So I said, you know, if I suck at it, if I've learned a little bit, it's still a net positive for me because I can't take away the things I learned.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I can use that to try again.
Do you know who Robert Kiyosaki is?
Of course I do.
So I follow Robert Kiyosaki. He's huge in my life. I follow him on Facebook, but he's talked about it in his books before. He talks about it on Facebook. He talks about it all the time. Mm-hmm. And he says when you're young, work to learn, not work to learn.
Yeah.
Or work to learn, not to earn.
Yeah.
Right? So that's basically what you're saying.
Exactly.
Like you're literally doing what he's saying
I
to
was
do.
like, let me get paid to learn what I need to learn.
And that's just something you're
I
like,
figured
that's
out.
what, yeah, you just figured it out on your own.
Yeah, because I was like, even if I'm bad at it or if I'm terrible, this is going to give me the skill set I need. And then I have it. You can't take the skill set away from me because
Yeah.
I learned it.
Yeah.
And then I can pivot that into something else that'll serve me. Mm-hmm. So, because even if I go to law school, I have to be able to present myself. I have to learn how to talk to people.
Yeah.
So I'm uncomfortable doing that. So even if I'm the best lawyer, if I can't like get it done in the courtroom, like it's not going to happen for me. So
And you
I
can
have
take
to-
a public speaking class,
not the
but it ain't nothing like being in sales and having to walk up to someone, or like you do, you walk into random businesses.
Hi.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Maria. You know, and like, or, you know, whatever. And yeah, that's totally different because in the real world, you don't have a group of peers watching you that want to see you succeed in the classroom.
yeah.
These could be people that are having a bad day,
Yeah.
that have no interest in your business, and can be
Yeah.
like, see ya. I had a dude one time just look at me and be like, you got 30 seconds, sell me.
Yep.
And he had no interest in me actually selling. Like he just,
Yeah.
it was, I don't even know. I think it was just like an ego thing he did.
Sure.
Because I could just tell by the look in his eyes that he had no interest in me at all.
Oh, totally.
And that was like his way of saying, get out.
Yeah.
That was his nice way of saying, just
Sure.
get out, I have no interest.
And I looked at that opportunity for that reason. I have so many conversations like, you have 30 seconds because I'm super busy. I'm like, great. And then I give my little elevator pitch, articulate my value, and then those turn into 2-3 hour conversations because I've earned another 30 seconds, which earned me another 2 minutes,
Yeah.
which earned me another 5 minutes. And that's the way and that's the game for me, right? But no, I was like, well, let's get uncomfortable because I have to figure it out. So, you know, let me put myself in a position where I have to talk to 300 people a day and just get no in my face.
Yeah. Hear it a million times.
Hear it a
So what were
million
you doing
times.
when you did this? Was this business or was this a prior? Were you
It was
in
event marketing.
event marketing?
Yes.
And so was it cold calls?
No. So it was kind of like an independent franchise situation where we had partnerships with big box retailers, like a Sam's Club or a Costco or Kroger or Meijer, what have you, and we would just do pop-up events in their store because, you know, they have a membership. They have people who are already looking to spend money, who are paying a membership to get deals and discounts. We can do a pop-up event to kind of promote a brand who's maybe a startup and doesn't have a sales force, or is a known brand, but they're trying to push a new product and they don't know how it'll do. So we served as like an interim kind of sales force for whatever, if they're going to rebrand or launch it. And then they have, you know, really motivated, professional looking people as brand ambassadors, essentially, for a short, like 2-week event, say.
Yeah.
Just be like, hey, talking to people, hey, how are you? I'm just showing you what's going on here. We give a little rundown on the product. So it's good in terms of branding, because even if you don't need it, like if I'm trying to sell you a hair iron, you're like, I don't need it. I was like, I don't know, your beard's pretty good. We have a good back and forth. I'm sure you have women in the family, sisters, cousins, nieces. You know, we just passed the holidays here. We have events coming up. So I'm painting pictures for people, earning your attention, right? Here's a deal. They're normally $300. Right now, $60. And I'm going to throw in another one for free. They got a lifetime warranty.
Yeah.
You can try it. It's up to you. If not, you know, people are grabbing for gifts. They have whatever. They're like, no, I don't need it. But if you talk to somebody who's like, oh, my hair iron went out and my hair gets frizzed, like, oh, they're having a deal.
Yeah.
Over here.
Right. Or just like giving them the option to try it and feel it and see it. And you're like, oh, this is light, or this is
what
great.
I learned there, because that was like my MBA. It was like a very hands-on, because I learned consumer psychology. So I would initiate that eye contact. Like I said, attention now is 5 seconds visually.
Where did you learn it though? Was it just by doing it?
Yeah, we would do it in hands-on training, very aggressive training, because the goal is to build leaders.
So they trained you at this place.
They trained me how to have a conversation, not to have a sales pitch. So,
nice.
Because people like to buy things, they don't like to be sold.
Yeah.
So it's about building excitement over something. So it was mainly like, you could be terrible at selling stuff, but if you have a good attitude and people like to talk to you, if you just talk to as many people as possible, someone needs it, and it's a good deal. And so I carried that with me today, which is super helpful, because a lot of people are scared of no and rejection. Yeah. And I kind of, rewired my brain to, it doesn't matter to me, because even if you don't see the value in it, someone else will. Yeah. So I just need to know.
Right.
No problem.
Right.
If you don't need it, great.
And it follows right into your business now. Yeah. It's exactly what you do and how you use it.
I'm not scared to talk to people.
Yeah.
Because it's never a personal thing. It's not a personal thing.
Right.
And I'm a professional note taker. Mm-hmm. If you are having a rough day and you take it out on me, I'd rather you take it out on me and I'm a professional than you take it home to your kids who are excited to see you and you're stressed out.
Yeah.
Take it out on me.
They don't know how to handle it.
You won't remember you even talked to me.
Right.
And then I'm just like, cool, I got to know, and I will go to the next place.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Because it's a numbers game. It's law of averages.
Yeah.
Somebody needs it, because I have belief in our products. I have belief in our services. So it's just about...
That helps a lot.
How many... Yeah, and I've been in situations where, because I have a sales skill set and marketing skill set, where I was having to sell things I didn't really know anything about, care about, didn't really believe in, but that was part of my position. I was like, this is not it.
Yeah.
This is not it.
The guy that works for Edward Jones in our community, I had him on my podcast, and he told me about how he was I think he worked for a company, maybe it was in some sales in St. Louis. Sure. And he was door-to-door salesman, which is, wow, what a freaking building skill that is. You got to walk up and knock on someone's door on their personal property. Yep. And he was selling coupons for like gutter cleaning, I believe. Mm-hmm. And then when he ran out of gutter cleaning, he had to sell pizza coupons. He was going around, it was Pizza World. He had to give out Pizza World coupons. Yep. And he talked about how he got chased off his property. Yeah. He said he accidentally went to this guy's property 2 times in one day, and they chased him off the first time. He said he got mixed up with this subdivision in St. Louis. And he ended up back, and he's like, hey, this is Jason from Pizza World. And the guy ended up calling the cops on him. Yeah. But wow, I mean, that kind of stuff is different. When you're talking about this, I was thinking about the guys that work at the mall. Yeah. And the food courts that stand there and hand out food.
100%.
It's very similar to what they're doing. Yeah. And to work in like a Costco or a Sam's Club or something like that, there is more sales to it.
Right.
There's a little more in depth for
And
that
it's
for
a
sure.
little, yeah. And there's similar things because when I would have an event in Costco too, there were the people they have in house who are like, here are the samples, and they don't want to be there and they hate their life. And so then it would be weird to see everyone like suited and booted. We would always be like dressed for the job you want. So we're over here in our blazers, all black, looking sleek. We called it lipstick the pig. Yeah, look good.
Yeah.
You look good. You feel good. You're excited to talk to people. And so that was our whole thing of like, why is a super sharp, motivated individual like you standing inside of this store trying to talk to me?
Right.
Like, why not?
Yeah.
Because for me, it was like we treat it as like this is my own business because I'm selling myself, right? So it was essential skills that I was learning. So for me,
important.
when I was so shy and I'm doing like little private crying in the bathroom because I got like 100 no's to the face straight because I'm so shy and they're like, she's weird. I don't want to talk to her. I was like, eventually this won't bother me, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, let me work on eye contact, right? Let me work on mirror neurons. So body language, we would product in hand because if it's tactile, creates a sense of ownership. So me having that education too of like, the reason why we do this is because of this.
Oh, we could probably really
I would break it down. I would break it down all day and night.
That's really important because that's why I've started reading How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Good.
I haven't made it all the way. I have such a trouble with starting to read a book,
Yeah.
learning something from it. I'm like, all right, let's go try it out.
Sure.
And I'm very like hands-on. Let's try it. Let's see if it works.
Interesting
see
that
if I
you
can
frame that
learn
as a
how to do it.
problem. Because especially from the camp of Gary Vee, he was like, I would rather you be doing stuff and not watching me for 3 years.
Well, I just think that there's a lot of lessons to learn left in the books that if I would just finish it and I could retain it all, I could try more things out.
Sure.
I could apply more things into my life. But I get to a certain point in, I'm like, perfect. And I have a hard time just sitting down and reading a book because I'll read one chapter and I learn something and then my brain's thinking about it. And then I'm like, all right, I want to try this out. And I can't get it off my mind because I'm breaking it down in situations in my head.
But
how
you're
to apply
applying it, which is what separates you. And that's why people like Gary Vee and Kiyosaki and some of the other ones that we do, and even me, when I go in and, my goal is like, I want to take this off your plate. I know we'll do a good job for you because otherwise, I take it personally for me because you're buying into me really more than my company that has Google because you don't know the company. Yeah. But you're buying into me having a conversation for you. So if it doesn't go well, you're mad at me. And I take that personally because I am my business, right?
Right.
So I will give strategy for free all day and night because I know most people aren't going to do anything about it.
Yeah, they won't actually go out and apply it. That's why, like, when people are scared to give these business tactics or anything like that, or they're like, yeah, don't tell all our secrets. It's like they're not going to do it anyway. It takes way more than just learning it.
And that's why what taught me in this like program I was in, where the event marketing thing is, they were like copy, cheat, steal. So if Ryan's kicking butt and he's number one in the country, give him a quick phone call. Hey, what's working for you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, let me do that, but work harder or do better or make it fit me because it helps everybody grow. Because if you're across the country, I'm not cutting into your sales.
Right. Yeah.
And we're both like crushing it for the client. So and the client is excited for us because if I learn it and then I can teach it to this other shy girl and now we're running 2 shows instead of 1.
Yes.
Huge.
Just, massive.
Yeah.
And the thing with it is it's not like, because there's a whole analysis paralysis thing where people learn a ton of stuff and they have mental knowledge on it and they can maybe have a conversation on it, but it can only reach so far in the conversation because they never acted it out. So they don't understand. Like, I've never been in a long-term sales position where I had to actually go and like talk with random customers. Now I've done a lot of sales in my life, but I've never had, I could not talk to Jason about door-to-door sales and what it's like to do that because I've never done it. Same with, like, I have a friend that sells insurance over the phone. So he's calling people all day.
Different experiences.
It's totally different.
But same framework because our consumer psychology, we would do breakdowns. We would call it impacts, important actions, because what was important at the end, we give them the information, but then we challenge you to apply it at the end. We would do like a QVC theory because QVC works but it's not in person, but why? So we would break down what they're doing
Sure.
and apply it to
I thought a
individual
lot of
conversations.
QVC whenever you were talking about it.
Yeah.
A bit ago.
It's the
like
same
very similar.
skill set, but that was why we were like copy, cheat, steal. Copy, cheat, steal.
But have you
all
ever
day.
seen anyone that has never been in any sales? Well, I'm sure you have. Sure, you've seen some newcomers come in. But it's always amazing to me. Like vehicles are something big for me that I've sold a lot of vehicles in my day. That was like when I was young, that was kind of my come up.
Yeah.
That was my side hustle. But even now, like going into the gym or going into anything, when I'm selling stuff, there is body language. There is ways to talk to people. There is like, I don't push product on anyone, but if you watch someone that's never been in sales before, try to sell product that's very new at it, it's just like, it's almost cringy a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you're like, you can't do that. It's not going to work out like that. It's not, you're actually, I've watched people push people away because of things they've said or the way they've acted before.
Well, yeah. And that goes to the testament of like having like it's the mentality behind it, right? So that's why I say
learning
all
to
the
act
time,
on it too.
I have the marketing mindset, not the sales mindset. And that's what marketing and sales, they work very well together if done well. But sales has that connotation of, I'm going to try to convince you to buy something you don't need.
Yeah.
Versus marketing is like, hey, this is what I have to offer. This is what the deal is. Is that something you need? And you say no. I'm like, cool, no problem. Hey, I'm just letting everybody know what's going on.
Yeah, and you can give too much detail too, a lot of times.
Because most people aren't listening. So it's understanding that, key points. If they have questions, they'll talk to you, right?
Yeah.
If they're not interested, I have, same thing. I walk in, I try to give the same energy I walked into another business. I was like, hey, I saw you had a storefront, but there was a sign on the door that said you'd moved. So I came here, but it must have been recent because it's a really great storefront over there. He said, no, I've been here for about a year now. I'm like, but everywhere it says that you're over here and you've been here for a year. He goes, yeah, I just haven't gotten around to changing that. I was like, so you don't care that people can't find
your business. Yeah.
Because, on top of me, trying to, help as many business owners as possible, I'm also shopping for products and services too. Because I was actually looking I was like, hey, this is something I'm going to need down the road. So let me talk to this group of folks.
Right.
And it was a service I was looking for. And I was like, wow, I don't trust you with my money.
Right.
Because you don't care enough to make it known where you are.
Yeah.
So I'm like, ooh, I'm glad I found that out.
Whenever I had Wilson Fitness Supply and I was trying to sell products to gyms, the company never really took off, and it really wasn't something I was like passionate about. It was more something that I was like, I think I could really help other gym owners out and I could help myself out, but it wasn't my main focus of passion. And so the reason I quit is just because it just wasn't worth my energy. But I went to every gym in a 100-mile radius, and I worked with I just went in and talked to a lot of different gym owners. And being a gym owner myself, and knowing all these people through this podcast, and people move to different communities. I meet people from different communities all the time. I get it and they know I own a gym. They ask me, what do you think about this gym? Or I'm living in this community. I'm thinking about, or moving to this community. What do you think about this gym here or this gym here? And I can be like, oh, I know this person, and they didn't even care about their gym at all. Like there was no passion behind it. It was barely running. They were never there. There was no updates. Don't go there. This customer or this gym owner over here actually loves what they're doing.
Very hands-on.
They're trying to do more stuff all the time. That's going to be the better gym. And that was really huge for me.
Yeah.
To be able to have that.
Yeah. And I look at it, I always say it's R&D for me. It's research and development, because for me, it was like, I need to learn the skill set. So let me learn the skill set. Then it becomes fun once I start to master a skill set. It opens new opportunities for me. So that's why I actually, prior to working with the company I work for now, I was working in asset management. Because I had moved back from Chicago. I was here to help retire my parents' home. So they're home to the Philippines and having a great time right now, which is great. But I was like, let me just be somewhere and not have to work 80 to 100 hours. Let me just work a cute 40-hour work week. It's hard to be an employee once you've been running a gig. So,
yeah.
Because you see the operations and things like that. But it was just kind of a soulless thing, selling stuff I didn't really like. But I had the skill set and it was fine for a while until it was like too annoying. the things I brought to the table, because they said, if you build a sales team, we'll let you do this marketing thing you keep talking about. I said, great. So 3 years later, when I'm showing a result of, I have the smallest but the highest producing team, we carried you through the pandemic and kept you open. These guys I've trained are ready to move into supervisory roles, and they can build teams now because I taught them to do that. So let's move in this direction. And they said, actually, we don't believe in marketing. I was like, cool. Everything I brought to the table is now outdated.
Yeah.
And so I understand, you know, with the long game now, I was like, I had no problem having the humility to put myself back into the field, which is how I found this, because I was doing on the side some consultation for like branding and strategy, but I can help you build the coolest brand in the world, but if nobody sees it, like, it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I got to figure out how to get stuff seen as well. So that's why I was like, well, let me get on the ground floor and work with a company who specializes in that so I can figure it out. And so that's why I'm here. So it's a fun endeavor to pivot.
Sure.
That way.
And you're much more passionate about what you're doing now. Yeah. You definitely seem like you like what you're doing, and it's actually something you care about.
Yeah, which is why it's fun for me.
Yeah. So going back to the whole SEO and everything that you're working with, all these search engines, we had talked about building like the importance of like a second, like not a primary website, but like a secondary, almost like a little subconscious website to have there. Yeah. And what's the importance of that? Like, because you will do that. Yeah. Right. And so what's the importance of having
a second website?
Yeah.
Just like anything, it's a strategy. If you think about it in a way of like a fisherman who has 2 poles, statistically, they're going to catch more fish than the one who has 1, right? So a lot of times for business owners, small business owners in particular, especially if they don't have a lot of interest or time to manage their website and update it themselves, they think, okay, let me build a website, and then they leave it alone and it doesn't get updated. So it doesn't have current information. If we're managing listings and whatnot, our purpose is to keep everything fresh and relevant and unique and updated for you. And we're not going to touch your website that you've already invested time and money in, but we can do whatever we want with the one that we build for you. So we have different analytical purposes for that site, but you know, for my customer who had that address inconsistency that we were able to clean up, now when people search her by name or by category, her main website shows up number 1. Her social media shows up number 2, just in the overall search. The website that we build her is number 3. And then everything else is everything that is still tying it back to her. So it creates a credible backlink, meaning it links back to your main site, which still funnels it to you. So Facebook, for instance, is a backlink because it is a website with credibility. So if your website directs you to your, or if your Facebook account leads you to your website or leads you to the business listing, you know that it's credible for that reason. So it's just another strategy to execute that. But whether they click on the main website or they click on the third one, everything directs to you. And so that's the goal of that secondary website, essentially.
Yeah, because it's really important. And there's things that you guys put on there as well that maybe people don't realize that they that they need on their website, or maybe that they just don't want on the website, like reviews for one. I don't think I have on my website my Google reviews, like actual physical Google reviews. Yep. But when you talk about this secondary website, because a lot of people are like, what do I need a second website for? It's kind of ridiculous. Yeah, what's the benefit of it?
Well, if you're not updating your website, Google and the other search engines, they notice if you haven't updated your website, so they don't know if you're still alive and kicking. Yeah. So they're not going to put your website up for people to see because they're not sure.
Yeah, and also it's like if you, let's say you're in St. Louis or LA or New York or a big city, and even in small towns too, it's important, but to go, because what you guys can do is you guys can pull reviews from Facebook, everywhere, and you guys can stack them up on top of each other on this website. And so when someone's looking, maybe maybe you're a more complex business, and so you're trying to like look at other things, like trying to look at it, and it pulls like a review from Google and from Yahoo and Bing and Apple and whatever the hell, I don't know where you get it all from. There's how many search engines are there?
There are a ton.
Well, primary ones.
The main ones that we focus on, there are 8 of them. And people can choose depending on the industry as well. So like Google and Google Maps, obviously, Apple Maps, Yelp, Bing, Nextdoor, TripAdvisor.
Yeah, you can pull stuff from Yelp and put it on there.
And we scrape from like 27 different review sites because, you know, I have a customer who's, they're technically a furniture store, but they do a lot of interior design and DIY. And so a lot of times they're on like Angie or like, you know, different design things, but we're able to collect your best reviews across the internet. And that's why, you know, it was the emphasis on, I know that you personally don't care about the search engine, but some of your customers might, and they might use that primarily. And so if a lot of your customers are on this site and that's where the best experiences or reviews are, why wouldn't you want people who are looking for you to also see that?
Yeah.
So we kind of streamline that and put that in one place so your best customers and are kind of being able to elicit that word of mouth that is still so important because people are like, everyone knows me, I have great word of mouth. It still translates online now. That's just where it lives and is housed. But it's also information because if I pull up the listing and it just says furniture store, the reason why I know your interior design is because your best customers left you reviews across the internet and said they did a whole house design and they took the time to walk me through paints and design schemes, color schemes, lighting. It's information that you personally don't have time to do. And for me, and especially if you're selling your business, there is that transactional, and that's why advertising sometimes is it's not as impactful because like, oh, they're selling me something.
Yeah.
Because you're being very forceful of, I do this and this is my business and blah, blah, blah. Versus your customer, your best customers are saying, I had a great experience. They did all of these things for me. I believe that versus you because you're trying to sell me something. But everyone else is very happy with that. So I'm going to go with that. And that's why it's important.
Yeah. So it's the secondary website is a very informative website.
Sure.
That's the purpose, I guess. It's a very informative style website because I'm thinking about some situations, some scenarios where it might be important.
Sure.
So I'm thinking maybe a clothing company, like maybe a boutique, a boutique, whatever they're called.
Yeah, very niche.
And so when you look at one of their websites, it's probably a lot of sales oriented website. You know, they're probably trying to show a lot of their products, show what kind of products that they sell. But the thing is whenever someone's looking at your website, they might want to be more informed on, is this a reputable store? And so whenever they go to this second, you know, they see your website, they're like, okay, I like this, but is this a real site? Because how many times have people seen maybe on Facebook or somewhere being advertised a trip, right? Or a product that you're like, ooh, this is good. And then it forwards you over to like some Go Jojo.
Some
Springs.
scams.
And you're like, is this a real website? So you search. I've done this before.
Yeah, because you want to check.
Yeah.
Other places are like, well, I don't know about this one. So let's see what other information's out there.
And I know for sure I've Googled, is this a safe website to buy from? Like I've Googled that. And there's other websites where people have left reviews because there was a trip to Cancun this probably like 3 months ago. And it was like it was some type of travel site, and they were like
a deal or
it was some crazy good deal. And it like all you gotta do is buy your flights, but it's 7 days and it's super cheap. It's all inclusive. And I'm like, if this is legit, I'm gonna
why
get
does
it.
it make sense?
Yeah, and it would forward you to a website, looked super professional. I mean, they had reviews, had all this stuff on it. It was all set up very professionally. But then, sure enough, I went and searched that, and then everyone's like, nobody was saying it wasn't a bad site, but everyone was saying that they were very uncertain about it because of things that they did. They're like, it throws up red flags. And so I stayed away from it.
Sure.
And so to have that second credible site that has real reviews, you know, and I'm thinking back to the clothing store. It has real reviews on, yes, the clothing here is good. Yes, this person has 4 locations. Yes, you know, the owner is very responsive. If I have any problems with my products, they return it. They have all those reviews. Maybe it has a location thing that maybe some websites don't have on it.
Yeah, it's
like an actual. It's such an informative site that's super important because, okay, I've seen your website. It's very gaudy. Maybe there's a lot of pop-ups. You're showing your for sale ads and stuff. Here I can go to this other website and get the information I need. And I'm like, let's say you're trying to buy clothes.
Yeah.
You go to a website and it's join our email listing now, join our newsletter now, or 40% off if you sign up now. And it's things popping up.
Right.
And it's just a really confusing website. And you're like, I just want to go to the store.
Right.
Where's this thing at? And, and you're having trouble because of the way it's set up. So you're like, you find a secondary website, you get the address,
Right.
go over to it. You read the reviews. You know, I just think it's very important. It's like, why do I need it? Do I need to waste the money or the time doing it? But some businesses, it's really important.
Well, yeah. Well, websites are important for credibility, right? Because that just tells the consumer, oh, yeah, they care enough about their business to have a website, to have information, right? But, 5 years ago, the front face of your business in terms of, like I said, digital real estate was your website because people would just go directly to the website.
Yeah.
In 2022, 2023, it's your listing. So websites are important to have, but a lot of times what's happening now, because like I said, attention spans are a smaller window than it used to be. The search engines like Google, they want you to make the decision off of Google to just do business. So they don't even want you to go to the website, realistically. So websites are still important, but it's a different time than 5 years ago where like if we make it complicated and they have to click through and they spend a lot of time on the website, then it's going to help me do business. Now the way people want it fast. I don't want to have to click through 5 different things to get to the thing I need when you could have just told me. Because then you already had my money.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that I'm trying to also connect dots to is like, hey, I understand because the web designer, my best friend, also just pivoted product manager and things like that. And they're trying to streamline processes. And I was like, I mean, your listing isn't even attractive enough for me to go to your website, to be honest. But I was just curious enough to do it. But if I have to work too hard to buy the thing when like you could have told me just on the listing that you have the thing that I'm trying to buy, I would have rather tell me sooner. And that's why, setting people up for success, especially with this economic downturn, everyone gets worried about, oh no, people don't have money and things like that. People still need to buy things. Yeah. People still need services. Mm-hmm. And the businesses that are set up and have complete listings and make it, it's all ease of process, right?
Yep.
If you make it hard for me to do business with you, I'm not going to do business with you.
Right.
Versus you're like, oh yeah, all we have to do is this and we're good.
That's why Amazon's so popular.
Right.
Because you can get every single product you need on there. You could just click add to cart, add to cart, add to cart, check everything out at one time. Ship it to you. Ships it right to your door. Right. That's why everybody loves it.
There's also a shift happening though, because now, especially with the corporations too, who do the same thing, who have a ton of money, people are now, like I say, post-pandemic, even though it's still, kind of around, are looking for experience and quality, which is why the small businesses, like I'm trying to make it a point of, let me get you on the same playground. Mm-hmm. Because we can make it just as easy for people to spend money with you, and they would rather go and talk to you as a person and be like, can you explain to me why I probably need this one versus this one? Versus let me just take a chance on it, and then maybe I don't get a good experience, but I know they have it. The reason why people are winning that business is because it's convenient, but that's not overall what people are really happy about, because people will pay for quality as long as it's not overly difficult.
Right.
For you.
Yeah. I would say people buy quality more. They're
shifting back that way.
Yeah.
Because convenience is not the thing, really. And people are like, oh, well, I can't compete with prices and convenience. I was like, you can, because you're offering a different experience, and it's an experience people want. And so that's why I always ask people, why would you want to make it hard for people who want to do business with you? That's the whole reason why you work so hard to get into business. Mm-hmm. So why are you being so reluctant to do business with these people?
I think I hate when a small business says that they have to charge more because they're a small business. And I'm like, no, you don't. I sell all my products 20% off. Mm-hmm. My gym memberships themselves are about accurate with everybody else because that is my primary business. But everything, like my supplements, my wraps, my t-shirts, all my products I sell, they're all 20% off. And I do it because I'm trying to compete with all the big box stores. I'm trying to compete with Supplement Superstore and GNC and Walmart and all these. I'm trying to sell a better product for less money. Mm-hmm. And if you're in a position where you can't take a little bit off your product,
your service better be stellar.
Yeah. And probably you did something wrong along the way.
Right.
Either you're too greedy through your own personal stuff, like you want too nice of a house or too nice of a vehicle, or you paid too much for your building.
Right.
Or, you know, like cut some costs and help your customers
Exactly.
out, because when they're choosing Walmart over you, Walmart's offering, you know, they're offering convenience, offering low prices. They're offering all these things that, what are you giving to your customer?
Right.
You
It
got to
has
give
be
them something.
different, right?
Yeah.
Because if, you know, you can't compete in prices, I'll pay more as long as the experience is better than what else you have to offer. But you also make a good point too, which is what people, sometimes I have to, like, if they give me the opportunity, walk them through. That benefits you because the way I operate too, my company, we're a retention business. It doesn't do me any good to just go through a tear in a town and sell a bunch of people really fast and then we don't follow through on what we say. Because it's better for our business to keep you as a customer. It's retention business, right? Because maybe you lose a little on the one transaction, but that little bit is going to keep that customer coming back to you and spending more money. You make more money keeping a customer happy than having to get a bunch of new customers who aren't happy with your service.
Yeah.
So that's like good branding. That's good business for the long term if that's something you care about. So that's a
So when you talk
different
long
strategy.
term, when a customer works with you,
Sure.
what is the long, because setting up the virtual tour
Sure.
is a one-time
That's
thing.
a one and done. Yeah.
Setting up the website, because when you guys set up the secondary website, there is fees that go along with so you guys are updating it. That's by part of the reoccurring process of it.
Yep.
And there's also, sorry, I was getting a phone call. Okay. But yeah, so there's the reoccurring fees with always updating the website, but also keeping the website alive, because it's not free to have a website up.
Right.
And so
But
there's,
it's not as expensive as some other people who are pushing websites are.
yeah, like they're trying to charge a ton of money for
Yeah.
it. Yeah, it's really not.
No.
And that's what I learned too. And that's why I couldn't pay someone to build my website, my
Right.
primary one.
Well, yeah, because they pay you to build the website, but they don't actively manage it.
Yeah, right. And so that's
And
really
then it's
important.
counterproductive.
Updating products, updating information, updating hours, anything like that. What else is part of it? What is like part of the reoccurring thing? Is the initial startup fee the most expensive part, and then after that, is it fairly affordable to keep on reoccurring?
Well, the reason why I can go through and talk to people with as much confidence, because if you pull up like the Google Premier Partners, which we are for listings management and for virtual tours, I mean, we show up at the top just alphabetically. But if you price compare, which one of my customers did, I said, I encourage you to price compare. We have the most competitive rates in the country because we know it's not that expensive to do everything that they say they're going to do. And because we build everything in-house. So we've built the websites and the templates, you know, a lot of the time we have our own CRM. Most of our costs are labor. So because we build everything in-house, we've tried to cut out all of those unnecessary things, because some of these other firms who offer the same services, they're also outsourcing those services to other companies and then customers paying for it, versus we're the ones who are doing it for you, right? But yeah, it's consistency of information, uniqueness of content, making sure it's relevant.
What I'm saying is, if I was to buy every package through you,
Yeah.
that's going to be that initial startup cost.
Yeah.
Is when it's going to be the most
No, it's the same
Costly.
rate every year.
every year.
Yeah.
To just continue it going.
Yeah.
But like, well, okay, so like the virtual tour thing is only one time and done.
One and done.
So most of it's a one and done.
Yep.
Or not most. Well, some of it's one and done,
Yeah.
and then the rest is just a reoccurring.
Yep. It's just the price of the program. And it's
Gotcha.
the same price every year.
Gotcha.
So every year
Which was, I'm not going to say the price.
Yeah.
If you guys want to know, get a hold of Maria.
Yeah, come talk to me. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, look her up online, or you can shoot me a message.
Yeah, talk to Ryan.
I can send you the contact information over. But it was very affordable, and that was my biggest fear when you were coming in, is
Seems
because
like it's too good to be true. That's why I'm telling everybody.
a lot of companies want to charge an arm and a leg. I've seen people
Because they
charge.
can.
Yeah,
Because people know it's important, but they don't know about the avenue. So it's in their benefit to keep you misinformed and
yeah,
sell
right.
you some marketing and disappear into the night.
Right, and it's a good way to lose business in my eyes, because you'll lose my respect very quick whenever I find out that, like, say you built me a logo or something for my, you built me, like, something for my business, and then you just charge me 10 times what it actually would cost, and then everyone else could have made it for so much cheaper. And maybe yours isn't even up to the quality. Like if you charge me more, it better be better quality, right? And whenever you came in, that was something I was fearful of because of I'm a small business, and it's not like a small business that's making millions of dollars a year. And so like
These
for
are
me,
people's
everything.
livelihoods. And I remember running a business too, and people will think, "Oh, you have a business. You're like rolling in." I was like, "No, everything I'm making, I cover my employees and my overhead and my rent, and then I'm putting it right back into growing the business."
Yeah,
I'm, you know,
so it all has to
exchanging
be
time
worked
for
in with
money.
the budget.
100%.
And so when you came and talked to me, I was like, yeah, this is something I'm definitely interested in. But I'm like, right now is literally my craziest time of year. Yeah, I got to pay because this is towards the end of the year. And was it in December?
A couple weeks ago, yeah.
So
Early
it's December. But that's personal property tax time. That's fourth quarter time. That's taxes time. So there's a lot of finances coming out of my pocket. But it's something I'm very interested in. So and I'm glad you came out because I'm glad I got the opportunity to talk about it because until you came out, I really didn't open my eyes up to how much more I needed to address. And that's where like the marketing then came in handy is I was looking at one side of it, but I didn't even I had heard people talk about SEOs, but I never really dove into it.
Yeah.
And so when you came out and you were able to talk to me about it, I was like, okay, definitely interested. And then I was like, but in my head, I'm like, can I afford this? Is this something that like, is it going to cost me, thousands of dollars a month or crazy amount of money a month where I just couldn't even afford to do it? And it was very, very affordable.
Right.
And there's yearly rates, and you guys can do it monthly, however people want.
Yeah,
it should help
because
a lot
like I said,
too.
we're a retention business and we care about growing. So like I had customers too who were like, especially we've had some weather out here and with holidays and things. And it's like, for a sales month, it's like, well, maybe a little lighter than some months, but it's like, I can wait 3 days for you to actually earn your business.
Yeah.
If you can't do it today, because I'd rather you be a customer and show you it works. Because if you renew with us, then I have more credibility going into the next community. And I can say, look at what I did for this business. I got them more seen, they have more visibility. We took it off their hands, whatever, what have you. But like for me, in order to grow, right, sometimes you have to go slow to go fast.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, some of these other companies are like, you need to do it now. And they're going to try to push a bunch of fear and stuff like you. But it's like, if I can help you, great. The challenge right now, it is the growth because I'm only one person. So I can only get to as many people that I can in a day, right?
Do you think it would help you to get more advertising out there, like physical advertising out there? Maybe a little bit.
I think what really separates us, though, is the fact that I will come into your business. Because how many people are calling you and saying they're Google? Google won't sell their own products and services, number one. They have third-party marketing firms like the one I work for actually do it for you. But I have a pretty substantial handful of folks who are like, I appreciate that you actually came in and talked to me like a person and answered my questions.
Yeah.
And turns out you helped me a ton.
Yeah.
But that's why I did business with you. So, if I push advertising and things like, there's so many other people who are doing that and they're not bringing value.
Yeah.
So for me and for us, the reason why we've been 25 years in business is because we do the things other people won't do, which is actually talk to business owners.
Sure.
About how we can help.
It's very important.
Yeah.
Because most people don't understand it.
Yeah.
And they have lots of questions.
Yeah.
And they need lots of answers. And it helps to have somebody that is skilled in that atmosphere that can answer all that stuff for them.
Yep.
I think we should probably wrap it up.
Probably.
We're about an hour and a half in.
Nice.
Before we wrap this up, can you think of some other services that you guys also offer that might benefit people?
So our goal is to bring like very essential types of marketing. So our bread and butter is like the search engine optimization. So the listings and reputation management. We're the largest Google Street View trusted agency in North America. So if you have a storefront, virtual tour benefits like 95%. I even have a lot of like insurance agents and very service-based where a lot of people don't even come into the office. But the fact that people can see that there is an office is like bridged that gap and got people to like call them or email them or, reach out to communicate and do business. We also do text marketing and video. So our goal is to kind of be a one-stop shop so you don't have to go to separate places, but also make it approachable and affordable. And so our goal obviously is just to have conversations to find out what you need and what tools are necessary to help you grow in the way that you want to, because it doesn't benefit me to sell solutions that won't make sense to you and your business.
Sure.
So that's it.
And you guys also do a texting service too, right?
Yes, text marketing. Marketers haven't ruined text quite yet. So it has a 90% read rate within 3 minutes. So it's been a nice secondary tool for folks who had worked so hard on social networks to build followings, and now due to algorithms are not seeing some of those things happening. It's VIP, so people are opting in because federally customers have to. So the businesses who are texting you out of the blue because they got your number shouldn't be doing that. Your customers have to opt in to get those texts for you, but it's a faster way to just know what's going on. So that's the most exciting and fun thing that's kind of been rolling out recently. It's very effective too.
And you guys will do, like, you can do it two ways, right? Like, I could have the option to send out text that I want to send out.
Yeah.
Or you guys can set up a program where you guys will send out informative information for the customers as well.
Right. So we have, our text managers whose job it is to actually come up with ideas and help brainstorm with you. I have customers who have techs who are very hands-on, and they want to be the ones to spearhead everything that goes out because they're prideful of, these are my customers and they talk to me and want to know what's going on with me. So, they get assistance and ideas from their text manager, but they're the ones scheduling it. You can schedule it like a month out. Birthday club stuff. It was my birthday recently, so I got a bunch of texts from my customers saying, hey, it's your birthday. Come on in. $5 off or whatever.
It's awesome.
Which it's a nice touch,
Yeah.
It shows that you actually care, but it's a way of, I had another one with the weather. They're like, hey, for the safety of everybody, we're going to be closed. Please stay home. We'll be open bright and early. It's a faster way to communicate it. So people aren't doing those things, but, or I have another customer who is very just like, I'm an ideas person, but I can't do any technological anything. So her account manager calls her every 2-3 weeks. They talk about the ideas for the month, and the account manager schedules it and does it for them. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Works out great. Works out great.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's wrap this up.
Let's go.
Maria, thank you so much for coming on my podcast.
Thanks so much. Also, if you're local, make sure you go to Sowensville Diner and go see Dan Breeden. So that's where I'm headed right there.
Putting in a plug for him.
Yeah,
yes.
that was, I was, instructed to do so. So I'm happy to oblige. He is my
Dan
first,
got you to do that?
he is my
That's
first
hilarious.
official customer in Owensville, and I like to, support my customers. So
Dan, that's awesome of you. You deserve a plug for that. What I'm going to do for you, Maria, is on this podcast also, I'll put at least your email in there so people can email you. That's probably the best way, and then you guys can exchange phone numbers that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
For any customers that's interested. If anybody wants, they can also send me a message. They can comment if you guys have any questions. But thank you guys so much for watching the podcast.
Yeah,
Make sure to like, subscribe.
Yeah, comments.
Share this.
Interact.
Share this. Yeah. And Maria, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thanks so much.
Great.